Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier and convicted sex offender who allegedly trafficked underage girls to some of the most powerful people on the planet. I'm talking about billionaires, politicians, and even royalty. In 2008, he got a shockingly light plea deal, just 13 months in a cushy jail setup, despite serious allegations from multiple victims. Then, in 2019, just before he was set to go on trial for federal sex trafficking charges, he was found dead in his jail cell. Government says suicide. But broken cameras, sleeping guards, and the no trial, a lot of people just aren't buying it. Now growing numbers believe the Trump administration may be actively burying the Epstein story, keeping evidence sealed and shielding powerful names tied to the case. Stay tuned, this is the Butterscotch Report. Hello everybody, my name is Malcolm Butterscoth, and today I will be sharing one of my biggest researching projects ever on this channel, probably undoubtedly the largest. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into Jeffrey Epstein and all the horrors that surround him. Now, before we officially get into the deep dive, I just want to say that the things we're about to talk about are very serious topics. We're talking about rape, pedophilia, and suicide. It's a big three of scary shit and very sensitive topics to be talking about, especially to an audience. Good thing there's only 37 of you. But I just want to say that I'm doing this with very good intentions. I am honestly just trying to educate people about the horrors that Epstein did, about any potential cover-up that's going on. I'm not saying that it's 100% a cover-up. I'm not saying it's 100% anything this or that. I'm truly was just interested in this. I think it's an historic thing that's going on right now. And I feel like I just need to be aware. And I feel like if I can help inform even one person about the shit that's going on, then I did what I set out to do and did a bunch of research for, and some would say wasted time on, but I would say that this is important stuff. So I just want to make this video and say that these are serious topics. I'm really trying to educate. I don't want you guys to think I'm just a clown here that looked something up on ChatGPT, even though ChatGPT did create the script, so shout out ChatGPT. But I promise there are good intentions. I really do want justice for these victims. It's not right, and the only way that we're going to get justice for these victims is going to be to educate the American populace, me and you, right here. Let's get into it. Let's get into the deep dive. I'm very excited to get into this. That starts us off with Chapter 1, the accumulation of power and connections. All right. So Jeffrey Epstein's power and wealth came from a very murky mix of financial manipulation, elite social engineering, and possibly intelligence ties. So we're going to go a little breakdown for you, because it's honestly very insane. So the way that I wanted to organize this was just first we're going to go over Epstein, just a timeline of kind of what the dude was doing. What was his like wake up POV, get ready with me Epstein, but instead it's like his whole life. So the 1970s to 1981, Epstein taught math and physics at the Dalton School in NYC, despite lacking a college degree. Okay, so we're already starting off pretty hot because he doesn't have a college degree, but then ends up becoming a billionaire. So, I mean, I told my mom I didn't need a degree, but she didn't care. The job was likely secured through his charm and connections. It's crazy to think that a pedophile was charming, but Yep. He's a charming dude, charismatic dude, kind of like a cult leader, you know? So he met students from wealthy families there, including the son of Alan A. Greenberg, the chairman of Bear Stearns. And this is going to be important in just a second. And now that second has passed, and Epstein joined Bear Stearns, rising quickly in the ranks. And that was in 1981 to 1983. So he left Bear Stearns under mysterious circumstances, possibly related to SEC scrutiny. If you don't know what SEC is, I didn't either. So it's just the Securities and Exchange Commission that oversees financial stuff. But although he was kicked out of Bear Stearns, this is also some of the ways that people say he got his initial like valuable Wall Street connects and contacts. So you can see he's kind of just flowing through right now. But it's also like, how did you get that job as a teacher without a college degree? I mean, even back in the 80s, I know people think that you could just like shake someone in the hand and like look them in the eyes and you like get a job, but Honestly, like, that's not how that worked back then. Like, I've seen people cover this and seen people say it's not common practice for Jeffrey Epstein to be hired in this way. So, just the first little shady domino. But honestly, we haven't even gotten to the whole mouse trap. So then we get on to his shadowy wealth management. This is in the mid 1980s when Epstein claimed to be a financial advisor for billionaires, and his firm, J. Epstein and Co., said it only served clients worth over $1 billion. And no client list was ever confirmed. So I just want everyone to also remember that in 1990, there were only 66 billionaires in the US. Like, confirm that fact, by the way. This is literally, like, when you think about it as a logically, if you think Jeff Epstein is this, like, smart business guy, financier, like, money launderer that, like, just was, like, good at that stuff. Bro, this is the worst business model I could ever see unless you have some kind of secret in with the high wealth elites. It's the only way. Like, this is honestly like if I opened up an ice cream truck, but instead of selling to people by the cones, I sold it by the gallon. And I was like coming down your street and I was like, all the little kids were out there ready for their little scoop of ice cream. And I said, sorry, buddy, I only give out gallons. Go find someone that wants a gallon of ice cream right now on the side of the street from my truck. Little bit sus. It's also like if I was only work during the winter. So I got my ice cream truck. I got serving by gallons, but I only work at the winter and I only serve at night past 12 a.m. That's kind of the business model that Jeffrey Epstein had. It's clearly sus. It's clearly not going right. But then what if I told you that that ice cream truck I end up becoming like Haagen-Dazs or Ben and Jerry's? You're like, shit just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. It does not add up. And that's what Epstein was good at, money laundering, making it add up. So clearly, I don't know what happened. So, and obviously, anybody in my hypothetical ice cream situation that was buying ice cream from me, obviously, that's a sketchy individual. Why are you buying ice cream at 2 a.m. by the gallon from a truck? Clearly, you're implicated. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. So Epstein also managed offshore funds and shell companies, possibly laundering money for other elites or intelligence-connected individuals. Like I said, I don't know if I did say this, but we should probably say this now. These are all allegations. I'm not going to come out and definitively say that he did any of this. I mean, some of it we'll see is actually convicted of, so I'm able to say that without, possibly getting sued. Hopefully this goes viral. Now getting onto the sketchy client list, like who was buying ice cream from Epstein, basically, in my hypothetical. There's only one confirmed name, and honestly, it's a doozy. We have our boy, Leslie Wexner. Not my boy, just a boy, but named Leslie. So I just wanted to confirm that. Leslie Wexner. He is the only publicly named major client, and he was a billionaire CEO. He is a billionaire CEO. This guy is still alive. Can we question this guy? Can we go get Can we go get Wexner? We need Kimberly Wexner from Better Call Saul to come question Leslie Wexner. All right, my bad. But this billionaire is still alive. He's like 86 or 87 years old. He came up with the limited brands, not like limited brands, but that's what they were called, like limited brands. And it was like Victoria's Secret, Bed Bath & Beyond's, all this like other stuff. So it's just like, I'm just going to stay on script. Your boy's loose balling a little bit. So he was an American billionaire who made his fortune in retail, especially through his company L Brands. And he at one point owned, like I said, Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, Abercrombie & Fitch, and The Limited. His long financial entangled relationship with Jeff Epstein has become a major point of intrigue, especially after Jeffrey Epstein's 2019 arrest. And we're just going to go over the origins of Leslie just a little bit, because truly he is so implicated in this. It's honestly very much insane and should be public knowledge. And the fact that he's just not being questioned by our government is very insane. So he was born in Dayton, Ohio in 1937, went to Ohio State University for business, briefly attended law school but dropped out. I just imagine him in law school. He like goes in there and learns about the age of consent. And he's like, oh, fuck no. I'm going straight back to business class, bro. Y'all got me fucked up with all these laws and shit. Sorry, I thought that was funny. In 1963, Wexner borrowed $5,000 from his aunt and launched The Limited, a small clothing store in Columbus, Ohio, that focused on young women's fashion. Isn't that awesome? That even back in 1963, this guy that would end up basically financing Jeffrey Epstein's pedophilia ring opened up a little just niche clothing brand just for young women's fashion. Isn't that awesome? Doesn't that make you feel like this isn't like life isn't just terrible? Okay. So the L brands expanded through the 1970s and 90s to acquire Victoria's Secret, also a company that brands towards younger women and lingerie. I mean, connect the dots yourself. How much do I have to say it? And Bed Bath and Body Works. I mean, I've never been in a Bed Bath and Body Works and haven't seen a 13-year-old girl, so I'm just going to say that the kid was sus. And at his peak, Wexner was worth over $6 billion and was known as the Maryland of the mall. Because basically every single mall you went into had one of the kids or two of the kids or three of the kids' stores. So how did Jeffrey Epstein and Wexner meet? It's a great question. Honestly, great question. So Wexner met Epstein around 1986 to 1987 via his social circle of financiers. So they just kind of were walking around Victoria's Secret. They bumped into each other and was like, oh my God, yo, what's up? Epstein never had a college degree, like we said, or significant banking career, but he did manage to win Wexner's trust over. Boys just liked each other. They just had some things in common, I guess. Financial control. And also, I'm not saying that Wexner has done anything. I've made a couple jokes, but these are allegations. It's just I'm not saying the dude did anything. But I'd be surprised if he didn't. Okay. So financial control. By the early 1990s, Epstein had become Wexner's personal financial advisor, and he held an unusual amount of control. This is where stuff gets a little crazy, and this is why I'm making these jokes, because you'll see, like, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think the guy was heavily implicated. So he gives power of attorney over to of Wexner's finances over to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you don't know what a power of attorney is, it basically means that Epstein was managing a vast portion of Wexner's wealth, investments, real estate, philanthropic donations. You could like write checks. You could basically you basically owned the guy's money. It's like power of attorney only goes over to people usually when they're like very elderly, have like things where they shouldn't be making the decisions over their money, over their estate, and it gets handed over to the next of kin. This is not just like, oh, you're my boy, I'll throw you power of attorney. Like, that doesn't happen. No one does that. This is not. Also, I've seen people speculate, could this have been for some type of like money laundering thing, like he's trying to clean up his money, so he gives it over to him and power of attorney. That literally is just not a thing that people do. You don't give power of attorney to people for the reason of cleaning your money. It's so much. There's clearly something that, this is where people have said, maybe there was blackmail. Maybe. We'll get more into this later, but I just want to say the Wexner's Foundation, and I'm not pointing any fingers, I'm not trying to get this, make this too controversial, but the Wexner Foundation says its mission is to develop and inspire leaders in the North American Jewish community and Israel through programs and investments in promising professionals. So I'm just going to say that the Wexner Foundation is like kind of a pro-Israel. They had a big thing with Harvard that only fell through in 2023, where the Wexner Foundation would fund Jewish Americans to go to Israel and Israel students to come over here and learn. Honestly, on the surface, a very good thing. So Wexner even transferred the title of his New York mansion at 9 East and 71st Street. Field trip if you guys want. I'll organize one. I can do it. I'll get the bus for us. This is the largest private residence in Manhattan, by the way, and he kind of just gave it to Epstein also. So as you can see, there is nothing suspicious about their relationship. They're just boys. That brings us to chapter 2. And this is where we get into the more conspiratorial. These are allegations. I'm not saying that any of this is true, simply speculating off the information that I know. And we're going to be adding a lot of information. So just strap in. So this is chapter 2. This is the intelligency conspiracy. Now, in this chapter, I will explain why people speculate that Epstein was an intelligence asset for either the CIA or Israel. Hold on. 1 second, pal. I don't know who would come to my door right now. Alright, yeah, okay, so okay. Yeah. Alright, yeah, so like I said, we're gonna be covering why it's so the Jeffrey Epstein is not a CIA information asset, and Israel, and he's not an Israel information asset either. So we're gonna get right into that. Sorry, I get nosebleeds. Matt, I get nosebleeds easy. I don't have the facilities to really clean myself well right now. I've been told to keep going by producers. Shout out the production team. Okay. Yeah. 1 second, guys. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's just get right back into it. So, like I said, in this chapter, we're going to be going over the reasons why Jeffrey Epstein is not an information asset. So, okay, let's get right into it. Sorry, I just took a shit. It got really crazy. This whole information stuff comes from people saying that Epstein would frequently socialize with spies, diplomats, arms dealers, and even intelligence-linked figures. So Ghislaine Maxwell, her father, was a man named Robert Maxwell, and he was a known Mossad agent, like confirmed, proud of it, Zionist as well. Before we get to Robert, let's talk a little bit about Ghislaine. So Ghislaine's role as handler. Also, I just want to say right now, Ghislaine Maxwell is being moved from a minimum security prison, and it just so happened that prison has sewing kits and nail things that you can buy, like nail kits for get my shit right. So she's most likely going to be stabbed in the thorax with a sewing needle, and that's just probably how it's going to be. I'm sure that either the CIA or Israel is sending fucking your boy in there. You can send me in there. You can send me in there. I'll do it. I'll do it for a band. I'll get some funding. I'll get some better, get a better microphone maybe. So this is her role as a handler. So many intelligence experts note that assets often work with a handler or a partner. Ghislaine was not only Epstein's close associate and alleged recruiter of underage girls, but also his primary social gatekeeper, connecting him to powerful people like royalty, billionaires, and ex-presidents. Those ex-presidents being Bill Clinton. Trump will eventually be an ex-president. He is kind of one. If she inherited her father's ties, if Ghislaine inherited her father's ties to Israel intelligence or was herself recruited, it raises the possibility that she helped leverage Epstein's blackmail operations for geopolitical gain. I'm not trying to say that this is like a Jewish, I'm not someone on here that's going to come on here and just shit on the Jewish culture and the people. It's about the Israeli government. It is not about Jewish people. It is not about this stuff. I'm not saying that you guys aren't to be trusted. It is simply the Israeli government is doing things that are a little bit sus, very much genocide. What is the relevance with this Israeli interest? So the blackmail theory involving Epstein's surveillance of sexual encounters, suggesting that possibly compromising high-level U.S. and global political figures, which could be valuable foreign information. So if he has these videos of men having, or women, having sexual intercourse with underage girls, that is compromising, that will send you to jail, that can literally, you can get anybody to do whatever you want if you have that type of information on them. So we're going to talk about Robert Maxwell's known Mossad ties. So Robert Maxwell was a Czech-born British media baron. He had well-documented links to Israeli intelligence, also known as Mossad, In 1991, Ari Menash, I should really know how to pronounce the name, a former Israeli intelligence officer, claimed that Maxwell has been a long-time Mossad asset. And then a British journalist named Seymour Hersh, in his book The Sampson Opinion in 1991, and subsequent investigations suggested that Maxwell used his global business empire to assist Israeli intelligence operations, including help procure technology and influence. And then after his death, he fell off a yacht, his yacht, under suspicious circumstances. Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir attended his funeral, and he was buried in Jerusalem with full honors, a treatment typically reserved for high-level operatives or national heroes. So, yeah. Clearly there's some ties to Israeli connection with Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, and obviously Ghislaine being the main co-conspirator. We cannot rule out the Israeli intelligence stuff. You just can't. You just can't. As much as people probably want you to. So what's the relevance to Epstein? So obviously if Ghislaine was raised in a family immersed in intelligence dealings, particularly with Mossad, then her close partner with Epstein raises questions like, did she recruit, collab, whatever. Basically what I just said. Your boy's ahead of the script. Epstein was also seen at events with former CIA officials, and his private planes allegedly hosted meetings involving intelligence contractors. So I'm literally 50-50. This could be CIA, this could be Mossad, this could be both that he might have worked with allegedly. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was either one or both. I'm just saying that to say, like, America is not in the clear. I'm not just trying to make this an Israeli Epstein. Like, no, like, America just as well could have been. There's just as much information that kind of leads us to believe that maybe, especially with the cover-up. We're going to get to that in Chapter 3. So this just made a lot of people think that Epstein's sex trafficking was used for blackmail, collecting material on powerful men for the use of intelligence agencies. And that also gets us to the former Labor Secretary, Alex Acosta, who was responsible for Epstein's light sentencing in 2008. And basically he said that this is not on the record that Alex Acosta said this. This was allegedly something that Alex Acosta told to the Trump transition team. But the reporter, I don't know her name, but I know that she is like a credible, like she is a journalist that wouldn't come out unless this was most likely true. Most likely, not saying 100%. That Epstein belonged to intelligence. So this is Alex Acosta, the person that was in charge in the Palm Beach investigation in 2007, was basically saying that when coming up with the plea deal, he was told to go light on him because Epstein was intelligence. Allegedly, that's what he said. And this is a quote first reported by the Daily Beast. So there are also theories supported by former intelligence officers. Several figures have endorsed or echoed the theory publicly. That's going to be, like we said, Ari Menash, that's the ex-Mossad guy who claimed Epstein and Ghislaine worked with Israeli intelligence and used sex trafficking operations for blackmail. There's this guy, John Kirikou, who is a former CIA operative, and he publicly stated it was common knowledge that Epstein worked for an intelligence service, probably Mossad. And then we have Alan Dershowitz, who is a known Epstein associate and lawyer, who has both denied and complicated narratives around Epstein's associations, leading to further suspicion and conspiracy theories. So, there's a couple people out there saying it too. Ain't just me. So now we're just going to go over his assets and his properties and just the whole infrastructure of the blackmail. So Epstein amassed an empire of luxury properties. It was his Manhattan townhouse, like we talked about, given to him by Wexner, the largest private property in Manhattan. Crazy. He had his little St. James Island in the Virgin Islands, which is like everybody says like, yo, Epstein's Island, Epstein's Island. This is the one. This is the one that they were talking about. Then he had his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. And then he had apartments in Paris and Palm Beach. And these locations were allegedly outfitted with hidden cameras to record guests, many of whom were VIPs. And this is also with audio, by the way, so they ain't just for security. And also, I don't think someone's going to break in through your bathroom, Epstein. So why are there 15 cameras in there? There's numerous survivors that claims that girls and women were forced to have sex with these guests, possibly while being filmed, creating potential blackmail material. And obviously, power through association. In the intro, my dramatic little intro that I tried to create, there was some friendships or maybe at least connections with a few noticeable names, one of them being the current U.S. President Donald Trump, former U.S. President Bill Clinton, and Prince Andrew, who UK, I don't know. I don't care as much about that. And also Harvard's faculty in science, and then also Bill Gates. Yeah, so Bill Gates, he plays like he's like the like Mr. Rogers. Like he has a very much like a Mr. Rogers look to him, Bill Gates, but it's not a wonderful day in the neighborhood when Bill Gates comes around to Epstein Island. It's not a wonderful day in the neighborhood. But he met him several times after Epstein's 2008 conviction. And that's basically why I really rag on him, because it's like, that's a convicted sex criminal. And you're going to go to his, do what you got to do, Bill. Do what you got to do, Will. So each of these connections gave Epstein like legitimate access to new networks, like allowing him to launder his image while leveraging more and more control. And guys, we are in the back stretch right now. We're in the back nine. Hopefully going to clean it up. A couple birdies. If we hit an eagle, we're going to be locked in. Okay. That was a little bit cringy. But we're going to get on to chapter 3. Just give me 1 second. I am going to clean up just a little bit because your boy got... your boy took a shit. A crazy one. In chapter 3, we will be talking about the mishandling of transparency regarding the Jeffrey Epstein situation and why it eroded the trust of a lot of Americans, including myself, in the government. The first thing with the not being transparent about the Jeffrey Epstein situation is Alex Acosta. We mentioned him. He had that little quote of saying that he was told Jeffrey Epstein was intelligence. Alex Acosta was nominated by President Donald Trump as the 27th U.S. Secretary of Labor. If confirmed, he would be Trump's first Hispanic cabinet member. So, honestly, it is just good to see that at least one Latino under the Trump administration is happy. So, Alex Acosta was his first Hispanic member. So, he was confirmed and sworn in as the Secretary of Labor in April 27th. Congratulations. And then we have a timeline of claims and reveals. In February of 2025, Pam Bondi, the U.S. General, suggested in a Fox News interview that the so-called Epstein client list was real and sitting on my desk right now to review. This claim fueled expectations among conservative influencers about a high-profile disclosure. So Pam Bondi, who is the U.S. Attorney General, Blondie with maybe... 17 brain cells that are active, said that she had the Epstein list on her desk ready to review. And Trump was kind of like, why'd you say that? But we'll keep going into it. Bondi distributed Phase 1 binders labeled the Epstein files to right-wing influencers. But most content had already been publicly available. And this was in late February of 2025. So what Pam Bondi did was she thought she was doing a service to the American people by giving right-wing influencers access to these Epstein files. But most of it was information that we already had. And I'm pretty sure some of it was like they gave us information, like they gave us less. Like they gave us some files that like they redacted information from. So you're like, what do you think you're doing, Pam? What do you think you're doing, Pam? Trying to give us less information that we already had. And that's the type of stuff that erodes the trust. Because that's what it is. It's not all at one time. It doesn't all happen at one time. You don't just go from being trusted to not being trusted. You go, it's the little things. It's like the comments you say, the things that just slip off the tongue and that don't really add up. When you go through the timeline, it's just the little things. And this was one of the little things, giving us information we already had and redacting something that, we already had. So what the hell? Why'd you do that, Pam? So in a White House meeting, Attorney General Bondi and Deputy AG Todd Blanche informed President Trump that his name and that of many other well-known individuals appeared multiple times in the Epstein files, or Epstein-related files. So this is just a little White House meeting, and they're like, Trump, you're on here just a little bit. Like, some of this stuff, we're not saying that means that he necessarily had sex with someone that was underage, but your name's on the stuff. Like, you might, whether it be, and people say the Epstein list. What is the Epstein list? It's not just a list of names of like, these are the people that had sex with underage girls. That's not what it is. It's going to be these people that formed LLCs with Jeffrey Epstein. It's going to be people that, the flight logs that everyone talks about. It's going to be people that were in like meetings with him. Like, we got to see, because all this stuff is recorded somewhere. It doesn't just disappear unless someone makes it disappear. And it seems like there's 1,000 FBI agents scrubbing Donald Trump's name off of files. It just seems like that. I'm not saying it's true. I cannot have somebody else come to my house again and rough me up. It hurt. I mean, I can't take another shit. It just hurts too bad. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting off the rails a little bit. They also told him that no further releases would be made, citing that materials contains protected information like child pornography. And also they were also trying to say that they're not trying to re-victimize the women that were a part of this, that were literally victims of Epstein, by releasing the stuff, because I guess their names will be in there too as well. Like, these women want justice. I don't want to speak for them, but it's like a lot of them have come out. They want justice. Like, it's not right to just make it, and to say, it's just the audacity to be like, actually, we don't want to release these because we don't want to re-victimize. And they tried that angle for a little bit, and then they hopped off of it because they realized that we don't like that. We don't think that makes any sense. It's like, honestly, they're just trying stuff and seeing if it sticks. They're like, will this make you stop talking about it? And we're like, no, we want to know it all. Tell us all. Tell us it all. A White House statement initially labeled the Wall Street Journal report as fake news. A later clarification said that the administration did not deny his name is in the files, noting sums of material have been prepared earlier in February. And that brings us to June of 2024. This is just an earlier reference. So Trump told Fox News back in June of 2024, during his campaign, I guess I would, talking about releasing the Epstein files if reelected, but cautioned that there might be phony stuff in the files. So even him trying to step in front of it, because Trump he ran partially on the Epstein thing. Like, I'm sure people were kind of sussed out by him and his Epstein connections before, and then him to even say oh yeah, I could probably release it. I mean, that's a lot of trust given to someone, and obviously when you're running for president, you need the trust of the people to get power. Now that you have power, you don't really need the trust of the people. And it seems like, you still do, but it seems like it's your last term. You kind of got in. And maybe we won't release it, actually, and because there might be phony stuff on there, So that brings us to July 6th of 2025. And this is when the Department of Justice and FBI published a memo confirming Epstein died by suicide and stating no evidence exists of a client list. They said that the Epstein files contained no basis for charges against uncharged individuals, formally walking back Bondi's earlier implication. So, no client list. Okay, so basically, Shane Gillis had a great joke about this in the ESPYs, and shout out him for even keeping it in there, because we got to talk about stuff like this when it goes on. But it's like, at first there was a list on my desk, and then it goes from there is a list to there's no list, and then we'll see. Then he tries to be like, it's actually just a Democratic hoax. So that brings us to July 15th, and Trump took to Truth Social, aka his own Twitter, saying, and he called those demanding Epstein files weaklings and said they were doing the Democrats' work. So he literally called people that were trying to get the Epstein files released, trying to get justice for those women, the job that our government should be doing, but is actively stopping the justice for these women. He's saying that they're just weaklings for trying to want that information. Oh, okay. My bad. Didn't know I was weak. I've been going to the gym. Thought it was pretty strong. So that brings us to July 16th. He declared the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, claiming the files were a scam created by Democrats, specifically calling them a totally fake and made up story. He also said, my past supporters have bought into this hook, line, and sinker. Those two quotes were off of True Social. So he gets a little crazy when he types it out. I mean, it's just he's got Twitter fingers. The kid's got Twitter fingers. Who can? We all get Twitter fingers sometimes, but he's need to stay in his pockets. Keep them away. When ABC News pressed him July 15th, Trump said, "No, she's given us just a very quick briefing." When asked if Bondi told him his name appeared in the files, he continued, "I know it's a hoax," adding that the Attorney General had not told him that. So he's basically like, "No, I didn't. Just a quick briefing. I mean, we didn't. I don't know. I mean, who knows?" He's deflecting. The kid's deflecting. Who can blame him? Then July 17th and July 18th, Trump claimed on True Social and Morning Joe that records and suspicious letters attributed to him were fabricated. He said, if there's a smoking gun on Epstein, why did the Dems who controlled the files use it? Because they had nothing. So Trump is trying to be like, yo, this would have been like if the Dems had it for the Trump administration, for the Biden administration. Oh, thank you. Then why would they not release it? And the reason that they wouldn't release it is because Bill Clinton was also implicated. And also, if you release these files, it's going to be just more fuel to the fire that he was a CIA asset or Israeli asset. And both of those things are things that the U.S. government does not want to get out. And it's basically assured destruction and erosion. It's not even erosion, that's a catapult of trust. So we're just going to get flung away from having trust. So it makes sense why they wouldn't, but he has somewhat of a point. If it was just him that was implicated, I'm sure those files would have came out. But that's where it runs a little bit deeper, runs a little bit more into the donor class, the billionaires that do prop up our parties, and all that. But I'm getting a little too off script, so let's hop back in. He sued the Wall Street Journal over a salacious birthday letter they attributed to him, calling it fake and denying ever drawing the sketch. So we're going to get into this in just a second, but the 50th birthday book was very insane. It's for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday. Ghislaine Maxwell basically collected a bunch of letters from friends, co-conspirators, whoever, just important people, kind of just being like, this is something that the boys got for you. We got you a little book of letters. And honestly, that's like really cute. Like, if we want to take this and separate it from like the Epstein stuff, like if for my 50th birthday, like my spouse were to say like, I collected a bunch of letters from all your loved ones and all the people you love and care about, and just like a little something you can flip through just to be like, celebrate, And but now you see it in this context, and it's really fucked up. So yeah. But good idea. Okay, sorry. So this brings us to July 18th of 2025. Trump issued an order via Truth Social. He goes, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval, calling the controversy a scam perpetuated by the Democrats. Bondi replied on X, "We are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts." So the grand jury transcript, I think this was from like the 2008 like sweetheart plea deal that Alex Acosta gave to Epstein, basically. And they're saying that they need to release all the investigations from that and like not just give us and the only reason, this is actually very important, I forgot to mention this, the only reason that we were able to put Jeffrey Epstein on trial again in 2019 was because we mishandled the 2008 plea deal situation, because we actually didn't even inform the victims of what the deal was. And the deal was that he got work release. So basically, this plea deal was in 2008, he got convicted of, I don't know the exact thing, I'll throw it up behind me, but it was like the, whatever the charge was, he had 12 hours of work release a day. So Jeffrey Epstein was in jail for, I think, 13, maybe 18 months. I get my 3s and my 8s confused. They're like, because a 3 is really just half of an 8. And so they gave him work release for 12 hours a day for however many months he had to serve. So people were saying that he was still doing the ring. The pedophilia ring and the honey trap could have still been going on while he was serving prison time. It's like, is there any justice? Is there any? Is there any? Nope. Oh, and also just saying, Epstein had international residences, a private island, a private jet, multiple passports, including an Austrian passport with a fake name listing Saudi Arabia as a residency. I mean, go back 10 seconds in the video, you hear me say that again. I don't even know what I just said, but it's just sus. That brings us to the 50th birthday book. So the 50th birthday book is what I just introduced a little bit before, if you were even listening. Like, guys, come on, listen. Like, we're only like 50 minutes into the broadcast. You should be locked in. So this is an excerpt from Trump's alleged entry into the birthday book. And this was reported by Wall Street Journal. And this is the reason that Wall Street Journal got sued for like $100 million, trillion, gazillion dollars by Trump. And also, a president suing a news outlet and news conglomerate. People say that's some fascist type behavior. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying people say that. Okay, I'm just going to say that. So this is what he writes, and this is exactly what he writes. I'm going to say like voiceover Donald Jeffrey. It's going to seem like it's like a script, but he wrote it in there as a script. Allegedly, he wrote it. He says he did not write this. Voiceover. There must be more to life than having everything. Donald. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey. Nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey. As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Okay, I don't love that. I don't love that. Not at all. Not at all. I don't love my current president allegedly saying that enigmas never age to Jeffrey Epstein. Just a crazy choice of words there. And also then saying there must be more to life than having everything. So you already have everything monetarily, and maybe there's some stuff that you want to take from people, from the innocent. Very weird. And an artistic touch, because not only did he allegedly write something, he drew a little picture for your kid. So shout at him. He signed a picture. He signed a Donald, and he included a little hand-drawn silhouette of a naked woman with dark pubic scribbles. I don't know. I don't know. Make what you want of that. It's alleged. They don't have pictures of it, but they do report that this is what. So it's like there's no pictures of it, but this is what Wall Street Journal is saying. Trust Wall Street Journal if you want. They're getting sued right now, and there has been no verdict yet. I'm sure that the president can't have any influence in how the judicial system will work. All right. On to Bill Clinton. Now on to Bill Clinton. It's reassuring, isn't it, to have lasted as long across all the years of learning and knowing, adventures and illegible word, and also to have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends. I mean, childlike curiosity in the 50th birthday letter thing, Bill, I mean, a little bit less on the nose than maybe what Trump's alleged note was, but this one's still just, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this one either. So that brings us to Trump's reaction. Like we just said, he did sue Wall Street Journal, but his legal team denies that he ever wrote it. He called it fraudulent and filed a defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and reporters. He claimed it was a fabricated hoax planted to smear him and weaponize Epstein's name. And this is kind of an unrelated note, but also the Stephen Colbert show was canceled, and people speculate that Paramount was kind of bending the knee to Trump, as Colbert has been a staunch anti-Trump advocate throughout, the running of the show. So people are saying that people are scared that entertainment and media outlets are going to start bending the knee a little bit more to Trump, just because they don't want to catch an 100 trillion, billion, schmillion, jillion fucking lawsuit against them. In June 3rd, so that was mostly like the True Social stuff, and like that's like a different part of the covering, but like there's also like stuff that was being released by the government within that time that's like kind of like, why are you releasing this stuff now? We didn't really ask for this. We're asking for the Epstein files, and you're releasing different files. So this is when in June 30th of 2023, National Archives posted final JFK assassination files under the JFK Act. And how this has to do with Epstein is that there were just ongoing civil lawsuits naming JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank for facilitating Epstein's financial abuse. People are kind of like, okay, maybe trying to get the attention away from that. Then there's in January 23rd of 2025, Trump issues an executive order to declassify JFK, RFK, and MLK assassination records. And this was just a major push for transparency that just so happens to coincide with the court orders to unseal the Epstein-related visitor logs and flight data. So it's just like when everyone wants the Epstein stuff, we get everything else. It's just a little bit sus. And then March 18th to 20th of 2025, he releases 77,000 pages of JFK, RFK, and MLK records. And this is within the time when leaks were circulating about the Trump's alleged birthday book, like we already talked about. Then there's Trump's allies like Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino, who promoted a supposed Epstein client list. And it's like you're making promises and a bunch of stuff, but never really comes out. And then the DOJ and the FBI issues a memo on July 6th of 2025 saying that there's no client list and that he died by suicide. And this is just a sharp reversal from the earlier promises on the lists and the files. So it's like you just promised the lists in early 2025. And now, no, actually there is no list. The exact details of the 2008 plea deal. And then we're done. And then you guys basically know everything that there is to know about Epstein. Congratulations, honestly. I didn't think we would get here. I thought I would melt to the floor with a crowbar in my teeth before I would ever be able to even utter some information or facts or even conspiracies about Epstein. So, let's get into it. In 2007, Alex Acosta was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. And a little background is that Epstein was under investigation for allegedly sexually abusing dozens of underage girls in Palm Beach, Florida. Local police and FBI compiled evidence of at least 36 victims, and the FBI documents showed federal agents had prepared a 53-page indictment. So, what did Alex Acosta do? He signed a secret non-prosecution agreement that allowed Epstein to plead guilty only to 2 state charges of soliciting prostitution, one involving a minor. He gave Epstein 13 months in a county jail with work release. So I was right, guys. I was right. It was 13 privileges. And that's 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. That's insane, and that's extremely unusual. This dude was in prison, but only really in prison for 1 day out of the week. That's insane. It also gave immunity to Epstein's co-conspirators for the prosecution. So basically, since they tried Epstein here, that means that not only that the co-conspirators that don't get charged, but it's also all the stuff that happened from 2007 to the past is basically nullified, because it's like you already got tried. This is the U.S. You can't get tried on a crime again that's already gone to a jury. So it's like we gave you this light sentencing and you're already, it's like we can't get you on all that stuff, but you've been doing the honeypot. It's been happening already. They did not notify the victims, violating the Crimes Victims' Right Act. That's what I was talking about, why we were able to try to get him again in 2019. Just insane. And the security clauses was that the deal was kept hidden from the victims until after it was finalized. Not sus at all. So Acosta reported his justifications of this in 2019. When Epstein was arrested again in 2019, public scrutiny reinforced on the original plea deal. Acosta gave a press conference in July of 2019 defending his actions. We believed that we proceeded appropriately. The goal was to put him behind bars and to deliver some measure of justice to victims. Did he even read the plea deal? But a report by the Department of Justice Office of Professional Responsibility in 2020 found that Acosta had exercised poor judgment in handling the case and should have prosecuted Epstein federally. Then we're like the intelligent comment during Trump's transition in 2016. This is where he said, I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. This unconfirmed quote fueled theories that Epstein was an intelligence asset, possibly for the CIA, Mossad, or any other agency, whatever. And then Acosta eventually resigned and whatever. There was a bunch of fallout. But there was something that just happened, and this is the last thing that we're going to talk about. This is when Trump, he made a claim after coming off of Air Force One just about the Mar-a-Lago Epstein fallout. So this is important so Trump's story is that he had a falling out at Mar-a-Lago, which is a thing that he owns, like spa, whatever, this resort. And he says that it was because of this business thing that was going on where Epstein stole, also crazy way to talk about a human, stole someone, an employee from him. So he's like, he took an employee from me. He basically recruited her. And that girl ended up going on to kill herself because she was a victim of Epstein and obviously was put under literally the worst treatment that any human could be put under. On July 29th, 2025, aboard Air Force One, Trump stated Epstein took women employed at Mar-a-Lago spa without permission, stole them. He asserted this was the reason he banned Epstein from the club. Trump explicitly named Virginia Jeffrey, saying, I think she worked at the spa. He stole her. And we're going to talk about why his remarks sparked a little bit of concern. So this is a distortion of abuse into property theft. So describing, I don't really know what I just said right there. Describing the victim, a survivor and trafficked victim, as someone stolen is kind of mean. This is very like ChatGPT right now. But her family said that the comments were dehumanizing. That is dehumanizing. Say that he stole her. It's like, this is a person that's not alive that you're talking about. This is a person that was a victim of pedophilia. Can we just be a little bit more sensitive? You're the president. But there are contradictory timelines. This is what it really is about, and this is what makes it more concerning. Is that Trump said the fallout with Epstein occurred because of the staff poaching, implying that it happened after 2004. So this victim was recruited as a minor in 2000, and Trump publicly praised Epstein in 2002, calling him a terrific guy. And then, moreover, Epstein remained on Mar-a-Lago's membership rolls until 2007. So it's just the timeline. It doesn't really make sense. And Trump also is portraying the end of his relationship with Epstein as driven by business concerns of staff retention rather than moral objections to Epstein's predatory behavior. And some people are just thinking like, I mean, this is honestly what I think. I don't know if Trump is a pedophile. I don't know if he was doing all that stuff. Nobody really knows right now. But I think, probably got some money laundered by Epstein. That's basically what he came up on. He was a money launderer that got all these connections and eventually created this honeypot thing. And it's like, you're probably implicated a little bit with the money. And that's, honestly, people are not going to be as concerned that you laundered a little bit of money with Epstein. If that is all that you did, truly, I'm talking like Trump's in front of me. If that's truly all you did, Mr. Trump, then just release it. If you got some money laundered by him and you did some business deals, the way you talk, though, it seems like you knew about it. And that's what I think people are, and that's what I think you're scared of. And if it's more like, you're cooked. If you actually did anything, you're cooked. It's over. It's over. You're impeached and your legacy is smeared forever. But if it's just the money laundering stuff, I could see people getting over it. I could see that. I really could, but I just don't. I'm beyond. I'm beyond. I don't even have a verb for it, but I'm just beyond. Trump is basically trying to be like he didn't know anything about the Epstein stuff, like the really bad stuff. But then there's also a quote that I'm just going to pull up. There's going to be a little cut here for a second. How's everybody doing? Everybody having a good day? Honestly, if you're up to this point in the video and you're still here, shout out you. So this is in 2002. A New York Magazine piece got this quote from Trump about Jeffrey Epstein. He says, this is in 2002, and allegedly the Mar-a-Lago stolen employee thing happened in 2000, so he wouldn't be saying this about him. He wouldn't have these good words about him if what he just said was true and the timelines were correct. But he said, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. His social life. Just his social life. You'd call that a social life? All right, Trump. Whatever. I feel like I've been ragging on you a lot, but you're making it hard for me not to. That is all the information that I have to share on the whole Epstein thing. We're probably approaching about an hour worth of just footage, so I really don't know how I will organize this and all that stuff. I've really been like kind of putting off recording this because it was just a really daunting task, but your boy got off from work. They let me out the cage, and I just wanted to come in and share. Obviously, I did not wear the sunglasses for this one as usual. I just kind of wanted to keep it a little bit more like transparent, a little bit more just less like off the cuff and comedy based, even though we had some fun. We hopefully had a few laughs, but with those laughs, I just want you to remember that this was trying to educate myself, trying to educate people about what these victims went through and about the horrors that Epstein did and that the potential cover-up that our government is doing. And I don't want any of it to be true. I don't want this to be reality, but it's like we're living in a time where it sadly is, and it's honestly revolutionary. And it's just crazy to think that I have lived a life where I got to see a pandemic, global pandemic. I got to see this potential cover-up of this Epstein stuff, and it's just crazy because both of them were during the Trump administrations. It's like, dude, the thing about Trump, say what you will, the dude is a director. He knows, like, it's always something going on during it. And it's just the only thing is that this time, your kid can't blame it on China. So when Trump can't blame it on China, and he has to look a little bit inward and a little introspective, that's where I get a little scared. So we're going to see how the rest of this unfolds. And I will always be here, hopefully, unless some type of, someone takes me away, but I will be here to give you guys the most unbiased news that I can. It is your boy, Malcolm Butterscoth. I am signing off. I hope everybody likes this, and I will see you guys in 3 years when I post again. Please subscribe, please like, please comment, share to your friends. It means a lot. I'm trying to build a little something here. Just help me out. 40 subscriber special coming up, hopefully.